Welcome to the Current Affairs YouTube channel. At the very beginning of the war, Russian forces crossed the Dnieper, a strategic river of key importance to the Ukrainian economy. Now the two armies face each other on both shores. On February the 24th, 2022, Russia launched its attacks on Ukraine. In the south, Russian troops advanced into the Dnieper River, entering through the Crimean Peninsula, which Moscow had illegally annexed since 2014. On the first day of the offensive, the Russians crossed the Dnieper River. For about 9 months, the Russian army camped on both sides of this artery, which is vital to the Ukrainian economy. The Russians, cornered on several fronts, withdrew to the east of the river, where they eventually strengthened their positions. In southern Ukraine, the Dnieper River became a front line, where the troops of Kiev and Moscow faced each other. From the first day of the war, the conflicts that have been going on in every region of Ukraine continue near the Dnieper River. In recent days, the Ukrainian army has been conducting raids along the Dnieper in southern Ukraine, as the Russian army has changed tactics due to a shortage of missiles. Ukrainian forces continue to carry out raids on the Dnieper River in Kherson Oblast, hitting Russian positions on the east bank of the river. Continuing its counterattack on the Dnieper River, Ukraine inflicts significant losses on Russian troops. The Ukrainian army destroyed the boat used by the Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group to move between Ukraine's southern Dnieper islands. In addition, as a result of shooting missions conducted by the Ukrainian missile and artillery units, 12 Russian soldiers, an Orlan-10 unmanned reconnaissance vehicle, and artillery equipment were destroyed. Especially in the evening, a pair of Russian Su-35 fighter jets dropped 2 aerial bombs on Berislav district of Kherson region, destroying residential and administrative buildings, outbuildings, and pipelines. No casualties were reported. Conflicts continue in almost every region of Ukraine, as in the Dnieper River. The Ukrainian city of Avdiivka is another address of the war. Avdiivka is a city of regional importance in the Donetsk Oblast of Ukraine. The city is located in the center of the region, just north of the city of Donetsk. Avdiivka, a railway town south of Bakhmut, is thought to be a highlight for Russian troops in the ongoing war in Ukraine. About 60 miles south of Bakhmut in the Donbass region, just north of Russian-attacked Donetsk, Avdiivka has been part of the front line since 2014, when the city was largely destroyed. The recent evacuation of Ukrainians in Avdiivka was strongly encouraged by Vitaly Barabash, head of the Ukrainian Avdiivka City Military Administration in the city, due to increased Russian shelling. The city of Avdiivka, which is an important supply line because it is a railway city, becomes a very important strategic point in this war. The railway runs from Avdiivka to Pokrovsk, a crucial area where Ukrainian forces are now concentrated and could possibly become the next target. More broadly, the railway arteries from Avdiivka go to Dnipro and Kiev. Besides the railways, a large reservoir in the city is critical infrastructure, as it feeds much of the Donetsk region, and it is anticipated that capturing Avdiivka could facilitate the Russian advance there. Russia, which has not been able to achieve what it wants in Ukraine for a year, seems to be unable to achieve the desired result in the city of Avdiivka, in the face of the strategic defense and attacks of the Ukrainian troops. Ukraine, which continues to defend Avdiivka and all its lands, increases its mental resistance with the help and support from the USA and European countries. Germany sent the much-anticipated Leopard tanks. The German Defense Ministry said the first shipment of Leopard 2 tanks from Germany was sent to Ukraine. 18 state-of-the-art main battle tanks were delivered from Germany to Ukraine after the Ukrainian crew had been trained to use them. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said he was confident the tanks could make a decisive contribution on the front lines of the war. According to the information from Ukraine, Challenger 2 tanks came from the UK. Ukraine has been asking for more modern vehicles and weapon systems for months to fight Russian attacks. The Ukrainian government has yet to comment on the arrival of the German-made Leopard 2s. Among the best battle tanks produced by NATO countries, around 2,000 Leopard 2s are used by many European countries. After initially being reluctant, Germany allowed other countries to send German-made Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. In January, it agreed to supply the tanks to Ukraine. According to German law, any re-export of Leopard 2s by any country must be approved by Berlin. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said, "Our Ukrainian friends received the tanks as promised and on time." The German army has trained Ukrainian tank crews to use the advanced A6 variant of the Leopard 2 in recent weeks. They were designed specifically to compete with the Russian T-90 main battle tank and are considered easier to maintain and more fuel efficient than most other Western tanks. In addition to the Leopard 2s, Germany sent 2 special tank recovery vehicles and 40 Marder infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. In addition, the Ukrainian government reported that British-made Challenger 2 tanks have arrived. The UK Ministry of Defence did not comment on the Challenger 2, but confirmed that Ukrainian tank crews who had previously trained in the UK returned home after completing their training with the tanks. Support from Slovakia to strengthen the Ukrainian Air Force began to be used by the Ukrainian army. Ukraine started to use MiG-29 warplanes transferred from Slovakia to protect its airspace. Slovakia became the second NATO member to heed the Ukrainian government's request that warplanes help defend against Russian attacks. According to Elena Kondratyuk, Vice President of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, 4 MiG-29 fighters are currently on duty over the Kharkiv region. The fighter jet transfer from Slovakia to Ukraine took place last week. 4 of the 13 MiG-29 fighters were transferred to Ukraine as humanitarian aid. The remaining warriors will also be dispatched shortly. It is known that the USA will hand over 12 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters to Slovakia in return for assistance in the transport of warplanes. However, former Slovak Prime Minister and head of the Smer party, Robert Fico, said the transfer of MiG-29 warplanes was against the Slovak constitution, which calls for an investigation. He also said that Slovakia does not plan to buy American helicopters, and now they will have to pay extra for something Slovakia does not need. Slovak MiG-29 fighters are Soviet fighters produced in the USSR in the 1980s. These aircraft were transferred to Slovakia following its departure from Czechoslovakia in 1993. Slovakia used MiG-29 warplanes in its arsenal until it decided to replace them with new warplanes. In response, Slovakia decided to send 13 MiG-29 fighters to Ukraine as humanitarian aid in connection with the outbreak of conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The MiG-29 is a twin-engine fighter aircraft designed in the Soviet Union. Developed by the Mikoyan Design Bureau as an air superiority fighter in the 1970s, the MiG-29 was developed along with the larger Sukhoi Su-27 against new US warplanes such as the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle and General Dynamics F. The MiG-29 entered service with the Soviet Air Force in 1983. Although originally intended to fight against any enemy aircraft, many MiG-29s are equipped as multi-role fighters, capable of performing a number of different operations, and are often equipped to use a range of air-to-surface weapons and precision munitions. We will be back with the facts behind the scenes of the war and the hottest news. Thank you for watching us.